That's great.
And
He read proudly. It's evocative of the 20s, but that's
but it's a
definitely
newer.
news.
Okay, okay,
Okay,
okay. Okay.
please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Kushner,
Here.
Osborne,
Here.
Latari,
Here.
Jones,
Here.
Euler.
Here. Yes, motion to approve city council work session minutes dated January 26, 2026, and regular city council meeting minutes dated January 26, 2026.
Move to approve as presented.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Try to get this up on.
Yeah, here's mine.
Adoption of agenda.
Move to adopt agenda as presented.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Proclamations. Proclamation for Black History Month, February 2026. Hello again. Chris, you want to step over here? Black History Month, February 2026. Whereas Black History Month is an annual celebration which commemorates Black Americans' achievements, honors their contributions to the United States and the world, and recognizes their crucial role in the United States history. And whereas in 1926, this celebration was created by Harvard-trained historian Carter G. Woodson. And whereas during the nation's bicentennial in 1976, President Gerald R. Ford extended the celebration to a month, and this year marks the 100th anniversary. And whereas each year a theme is selected by the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, the 2026 theme is A Century of Black History Commemorations. and it honors how the concept has evolved, become an annual, month-long scholarly and sustained movement to study, teach, and disseminate Black history. And whereas the city of Warrensburg takes pride in recognizing Black History Month and honoring the many notable contributions that people of African descent have made in our community. Now therefore, I, Bruce D. Euler, Mayor, along with the City Council of the City of Warrensburg, Missouri, do hereby proclaim the month of February 2026 as Black History Month, in witness whereof I hereunto set my hand this 9th day of February 2026.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, public hearing. Public hearing on an ordinance amending chapter 27 of the Code of City Ordinances of the City of Warrensburg, Missouri regarding duplexes and mixed multifamily developments, presented by Barbara Carroll, AICP, Director of Community Development.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. This is an ordinance that staff has drafted for your consideration as a result of an increased interest in certain projects over the last few years. Our zoning ordinance in the table, in the definitions section, can be a little confusing to understand whether how we allow duplexes in zoning districts, whether we allow one duplex per one property, if we allow several duplexes on a single property, and if we allow duplexes as part of larger multifamily projects, where it might be on one single property with, say, a sixplex or a fourplex or a 100plex. And so we currently allow a single duplex, one structure with 2 units, an attached wall, in one lot. So one duplex in one lot, that could be in an R2, R3, or R4 district. And then we also allow them as part of multifamily projects. So you might have a duplex along with some sixplexes and other duplexes in one lot. So for instance, the project, the Magnolia Ridge Garden Walk, Magnolia Ridge, whatever, can't remember the exact name.
Yeah.
They're just by Walmart, to the east of Walmart, that project. There's some duplexes in there with some sixplexes, I believe. And we allow that in an R3 and an R4 district, our low density and our medium density multifamily. But nowhere in our current ordinance do we allow more than one duplex on one single lot, not even in R3 or R4 districts. And so it can be rather confusing to staff, let alone to the public. And particularly, we have had instances where there were assumptions made that you could have multiple duplexes on a single lot because it's a 1 and 2 family, it's an R2 district. And so they didn't talk to staff until they were further along in the process to realize that wasn't possible. So we wanted to make it more clear. We've drafted this attached ordinance, which amends the definition of duplex to make it very clear it's one duplex on one lot. And then adds a new definition for multifamily development and says that would be 2 or more structures of any of those types of multifamily, including duplexes. So at the top of the table on this, top of page 2 in that table, it outlines what I just covered as far as what the current ordinance allows and the proposed ordinance allows: 1 duplex on one lot, multiple duplexes on one lot, and duplexes as part of a multifamily development. A lot of the reasons, there's a couple of reasons that all these questions are coming up around duplexes, because we're seeing it with infill developments where they have a single lot and there's a lot of square footage, and maybe enough square footage that it would allow 4 units, but it doesn't have So if it's in an R2, let's say it only has 100 feet of footage along the street frontage, it's just 100 foot wide, but it goes back and then opens up, and it would be large enough for 4 units, but the street frontage is only 100 feet. To do a lot split, to subdivide that with a minor plat, you would need 60 feet of street frontage for each lot. So there's not enough street frontage to create 2 new lots, but there's enough lot size. So we see it in those instances. And then the other reason it's of interest is a duplex structure does not require a set of stamped plans. You can draw that up as the builder, you can draw that up as an owner, doesn't require a set of stamped plans. And so they want to put a lot of duplexes on one lot to avoid getting an engineer and a set of stamped plans. From staff standpoint, 1 duplex on a lot has a similar impact on a neighborhood as a single-family house, which also doesn't require a set of stamp plans. But having even 2 duplexes or 3 duplexes, you start to see the size of units, the number of units that have the same amount of parking spaces required as a 4-plex, as a 6-plex. You see the same amount of impervious surface with driveways and parking lots, the impact on surrounding streets, the impact on stormwater. And you can have that impact on a neighborhood that we believe a set of, at least an engineered or a surveyor doing your site plan is necessary to get the review from staff to make sure there's not a negative impact on the environment or the surrounding neighborhoods. So we've proposed this ordinance that would, by having multiple duplexes on a lot, would put that in the category of the new definition of multifamily development. And at that land use 1.350, it would trigger a surveyed or professionally drawn site plan. The building plan still could not be stamped, but the site plan would need to be. Planning and Zoning Commission considered this at their meeting last week and recommended approval. And I didn't get their recommendation in the packet, but Jody has that. I think she passed that out and she's added it to the packet online, I think. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer those.
Does it require a certain number of square feet per duplex?
It does, and those numbers wouldn't change.
Okay.
They would stay the same standard that it currently is.
This is not something that you shouldn't necessarily have to explain, but do you know why the code or I don't know, is it state law, whatever is written that way so that duplexes don't have to have a engineered plan?
I think it's a state law.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. I mean, it seems like-
And a house doesn't have to have a stamp in
No,
the city? Doesn't have,
no, it does not. We get it a lot of
get it,
times
right,
because people
sure.
buy a set of plans,
yes.
but they don't have to. They could draw that up themselves if they wanted to.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
No other questions.
No other questions? Nope. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
They need to close. Oh.
Yeah.
Gonna go one at a time with public comments.
Think we had anybody?
We may want to ask.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing then.
Motion to close? No? No, okay.
Item 6.2, a public hearing on an ordinance enlarging an R2 1 and 2 family residential district by rezoning land located at 622 Laurel Street from L1 or LI Light Industrial District to R2 1 and 2 family residence district, presented by Barbara Carroll.
I'm going to address 622 separate from the next item on your packet, which is 624. Some comments overlap, but I will come back up separately for 624 and address some items that are specific to just 624. This is an ordinance, well, This is a rezoning request that has come forward from the applicants Carl and Kayla Wilkin for rezone 622 Laurel Street from light industrial to R2, 1 and 2 family residence district. There currently is a single family dwelling on that property and has been for a long time, many years. If you can picture Young Street and the south side of Young Street, that is a light industrial district. Excellent. Okay, so there you have a blue-ish rectangle, and that is 622 Laurel and the house that's on it. And north of it is 624 Laurel. So just 624 is the one on the north. And then north of that is Gator Graphics. Gator Graphics, 624 and 622 are all zone light industrial, as is the land to the west of them, the former GE Transportation Harmon Industries property. That's also all zoned light industrial. And the houses south of 622 Laurel are zoned R2. The other side of the street on the east is zoned across from 622 and 624 and Gator Graphics. All of those to the east are zoned general business. So there's a map of that zoning in your packet and online, but that's where we begin this evening, is that the property to the north, 624, started first with their request to rezone to R2. And staff said, well, you're not adjacent to R2. And so we couldn't rezone just you by yourself. That would be spot zoning. But talk to your neighbor and see what their interest is. And then an application did come forward later from that property owner. That's the one from the Wilkins that is at 622 Laurel. And so with that request, currently their property is zone light industrial. If that property were to sustain damage in excess of 75% of the fair market value, so a tornado hits it, a fire, something horrible happens, they would not be allowed to rebuild, because a single family house is not zoned by right or even by conditional use permit in a light industrial district. So that'd be the end of having a house on that property, because you can't have a house in a light industrial district, not a new house in a light industrial district. And so they're fine as they are now, but it's the future that is a concern for both these houses. Staff has recommended approval of their rezoning. There is an impact to adjacent properties because of a rezoning of that property. So when you have light industrial adjacent to residential, the light industrial property has a larger setback. It goes to a 30-foot setback on the property line that's adjacent to the residential. So in the moment that 622 rezones, 624 will immediately have a new 30-foot setback on it. Similarly, if 624 rezones, that would happen to Gator Graphics. Now, what's there now, again, would be grandfathered in. It would be down the road that 30-foot setback would become important. So in notifying the public of the two requests, people within 300 feet, property owners within 300 feet were notified of the request. And we did receive two public comments, one from Dean Willie, who has Gator Graphics, which is technically 404 West Young Street and 628 Laurel Street. He has two properties there. And he wanted to know what his concern was, what impact it would have on his properties. And staff stated he would have the 30-foot setback for building, parking, and storage on his properties adjacent to the south property lines. That would be true for any future work that he wants to do. It would not be the case for what's there now. What is there now could stay and continue. You could even sell to a new owner and it wouldn't trigger anything. You could bring it, you could sell to another business that's the same land use category, and it wouldn't trigger anything. But if you abandoned it for over 365 days, that would trigger it. If you just totally changed, that business moves out and a retail convenience store moves in, that's a different use. That, something like that would trigger it. So, and then we also had a comment from Lee Wyrick at 610 Laurel Street. And he he had gotten the letter for this property at 622. Wanted to know why it said Electric Springs on it, and staff explained the properties at 622 and 624 Laurel Street have houses on them, but are zone light industrial, and the owners have requested the rezoning to R2, and that Electric Springs is the subdivision they're in, and that's just part of their legal description, even though there's not a sign that says it's Electric Springs subdivision. It's true on paper. And he stated that is very interesting that there are houses located in a business district. Planning and Zoning Commission considered this item at their meeting last week. There was a lot of discussion around the setbacks between light industrial properties and residential districts, and a discussion around if they rezoned to general business instead of residential. But general business, because you can have a house as a conditional use permit in a general business. But that would require, that's not impossible, but it would require rezoning and a separate rezoning process and a separate conditional use permit. And so that would be an option potentially if this is not approved this evening. I think ultimately, following discussion, Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the request, and you have a copy of those findings in your packet.
One of the things that, before, 'cause I'm on planning and zoning, but before I attended the meeting, one of the things that I kept thinking about was, because I didn't realize you could grandfather in what was going on, what was gonna go on in that 30-foot setback. So what I was thinking, what was the lesser of the two evils? You know, taking 30 foot away from Mr. Willie, or the people in 624 or 622 not being able to get a mortgage on their home. And if you didn't approve it, you basically would be taking the use of someone's home away from them. And it's, mortgage companies are looking at that now because money is harder to get. So now they're looking at more stuff. And we have a lot of light industrial, general business that has residential right up against it, right on it, or in residential or light industrial. And I think with the mortgage industry being the way it is, we're gonna see a lot more of these requests coming in.
We have seen more requests for those reasons. Mortgage companies not willing to do loans on properties like this. It's not all of them, but there's definitely been more instances and requests like this since the housing crisis in 2009 and the standards they put in place following that. Yeah.
So I guess my point is I like the explanation that as long as Mr. Willie continues to use that 30-foot setback for storing his, I don't know what, trailers and whatever that is that he's storing there, and the next person, if he sells it to somebody, the next person coming along could use that business for the same general purpose, plus continue to use that 30-foot setback to store trailers and vehicles and that type of thing in that piece of property.
Yes, they could.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Barbara? Yeah. Thank you. No public comments? Okay, thank you. We will close that public hearing. Item 6.3. A public hearing on an ordinance enlarging an R2, 1 and 2 family residence district by rezoning land located at 624 Laurel Street from light industrial district to R2, 1 and 2 family residence district, presented by Barbara Carroll.
We've covered a lot of it in the first 622 presentation. On this one, I would just draw your attention to, because we've talked about under adjacent properties, really the second paragraph, first and second paragraphs and the impact that that would have on Gator graphics. So we've covered that in pretty good detail. I won't talk top of the second page. Where if 624 is rezoned to R2 and 622, so both of them are rezoned to R2, then the setback in between those two will go to 7.5 feet, which is a standard side setback in residential districts. If 624 is not rezoned, but 622 is, then 624 will have that 30-foot setback on them. And that lot is only 50 feet wide. So in that instance, that property, if it would ever be destroyed, even bringing in light industrial onto it would be challenging in that 20-foot that remains. So there is an impact to 624 in that scenario. Let's see, did planning and zoning have anything different on this? Well, I think we've talked about. Yeah, I think we've covered everything Planning and Zoning Commission discussed that's stated there in the staff report. Following that discussion last week, they also voted to recommend approval of this request, and that finding is in there in your packet as well, and staff has recommended approval of the 624 rezoning as well.
Thanks for walking us through that. It felt like a puzzle.
It is a bit of a, yes, it is.
If then, it was like
Yeah.
a bad math problem back in the day.
Logic puzzle, yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions for Barbara? No? Thank you, Barbara. No public comments. We will close that public hearing. Item 6.4. A public hearing on an ordinance enlarging a GB general business district by rezoning land located at 1035 South McGuire Street from R3 low density multifamily residence district to GB general business district, presented by Barbara Carroll.
If this feels familiar, you took up a piece of this property in 2024. And so this is the property in the northeast corner of Blake Anthony Drive and McGuire Street. And it currently resides in 2 different zoning districts. The east side of the property, what you see there outlined in red, the east side of the property is currently zoned R3 low density multifamily. The west side of the property, the hard corner on the frontage of McGuire Street, is zoned GB General Business District. And it's been that way for a long time. The current owner, Mr. Mercado, came forward a few years ago with a proposal to develop storage units on the west side, on the front of the lot, and on the east side to put in a cul-de-sac and build duplexes around it with the entrance coming off of Blake Anthony. His plans have evolved and he's priced that out, and he would now like to pursue the storage units across the full property and not do the duplexes on the east end. Storage units are not an allowed use in an R3 district. And so he has requested to have that remaining R3 portion rezoned to general business. And if you, there is a copy of the zoning areas in your packet, and that proposed general business on the east would then line up with the general business on the south side of Blake Anthony, where we had used to have Piggly Wiggly and now the Early Childhood Education Center. So it would square off that general business corner essentially. There is, let me look here. The properties to, no. So the properties to the east of what he's wanting to rezone are zoned R3, low density multifamily. The properties to the north are zoned R1, single family. So you have residential both to the north and to the east of this area. And that would, like we discussed in the last one, that will put an additional setback on his property of 30 feet as a setback from those residential districts. There have been prior rezoning requests for this property. In 1996, a request was to rezone was submitted to the city to rezone roughly the same area from R3 to general business. That request was denied by city council, and the minutes from that planning and zoning commission meeting and the city council meeting are attached to your packet. It doesn't give a lot of information as to why they made that decision, but it seems to indicate that it's not consistent with other development area at that time. Piggly Wiggly was in the works. It was not built at that time. It was being discussed. And so that area south of it was not built out and developed at the time that other request came forward that was denied. In 2024, as we discussed, he had a sliver in the middle rezoned from R3 to general business, but not all of it. We did notify property owners within 300 feet, and we did not receive any comment as of this writing of the report or this meeting. We've not received any comment from anyone. Planning and Zoning Commission took this up at their meeting last week. They had some discussion around stormwater and where the driveway entrances would be since the plans had changed. Those discussions were part of the plat process. This now, as all storage units, would not require a replat. So he would, if the rezoning is approved, he would come in and apply for a building permit. That plat was never recorded, so it doesn't exist yet legally. And so he would not record it, and he would have the full parcel as it exists today. If it was rezoned all into general business, then he would just come in and apply for a building permit as part of our regular administrative review, and it wouldn't come back to Planning Commission or City Council. So we would look at stormwater as a part of that review, and we would look at driveways to make sure they're consistent with our right-of-way access management policy, but all of that would be an administrative process. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval at their meeting. You have a copy of their findings, and staff has recommended approval as well. And Mr. Mercado is here if you have questions of him.
And there's currently no requirement when folks remove any number of trees from a property to replant any trees, right? In any kind
You
of-
have to, currently you only have to plant trees based on the number of parking spaces that is required. I don't know how many will be required on this project, but if say 10 are required, he will need to plant 1 tree. If 13 were required, he would plant 2 trees.
Gotcha.
He might take down 20, but you'd only have to put back 2.
Gotcha.
Any questions for Barbara on this? Nope. All right, thank you, Barbara. Get you back and forth a lot tonight. I think it's the last one.
Yes.
Thanks, Jesse. There are no public comments. We will close the public session, public hearing. Item 7. An ordinance amending chapter 27 of the Code of City Ordinances of the City of Warrensburg, Missouri regarding duplexes and mixed multifamily developments presented by Barbara Carroll.
Recommend approval. If you have any other questions, be happy to answer.
I did take the opportunity to do some internet research on the question that came up, and it is true that the state of Missouri exempts single family and duplexes. The underlying rationale for that is that there's a standalone international residential code that applies to single family and duplexes, and it's very prescriptive. So it's possible to build those structures just based on the code requirements rather than needing to have a specialized engineered architectural stamp set of plans.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Good at the search there. Appreciate it.
Motion to move to second reading by title?
Kushner, excuse me, Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance amending chapter 27 of the Code of City Ordinances of the City of Warrensburg, Missouri regarding duplexes and mixed multifamily developments. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7.2, an ordinance enlarging an R2, 1 and 2 family residence district by rezoning land located at 622 Laurel Street from LI Light Industrial District to R2, 1 and 2 family residence district, presented by Barbara Carroll.
Questions?
Motion to move to second reading by title only.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance enlarging an R2, 1 and 2 family residence district by rezoning land located at 622 Laurel Street from LI Light Industrial District to R2, 1 and 2 family residence district. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7.3, an ordinance enlarging an R2, 1 and 2 family residence district by rezoning land located at 624 Laurel Street from LI Light Industrial District to R2, 1 and 2 family residence district, presented by Barbara Carroll. Okay.
Motion to move to second reading by title.
You.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance enlarging an R2, 1 and 2 family residence district by rezoning land located at 624 Laurel Street from LI Light Industrial to R2, 1 and 2 family residence district. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7.4, an ordinance enlarging a GB general business district by rezoning land located at 1035 South McGuire Street from R3 low density multifamily residence district to GB general business district, presented by Barbara Carroll.
No questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Motion to move to second reading by title only.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance enlarging a GB general business district by rezoning land located at 1035 South McGuire Street from R3 low density multifamily residence district to GB general business district. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on. Item 8.1, a resolution approving a donation request by the Food Center, a food pantry from the Stevenson Fund in the amount of $1,000, presented by Jody Schneider, City Clerk.
Oh, thank you, Mayor Euler. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I received a donation request from the Food Center, a food pantry, for an amount of $1,000. They cited due to the rising cost of the government shutdown in the fall of 2025, The food center saw an increase of 10% in families and individuals requesting assistance from the end of September through November. They cited, again, also, if approved, these funds would be used to purchase meat and eggs and will be used to supplement the food that's donated from within the community. What is available to order from harvesters and food purchased with monetary donations. This investment will directly provide nutritious food for hundreds of families and foster a healthier, stronger community. The most recent request that we received last meeting as well as this meeting will put us at $3,000 of the $3,350 budget for this fiscal year. I wanted to point that out. I also wanted to point out that City Manager Scragg has requested city staff to start working on a formal process for the Stevenson Fund donations. And that is due primarily because of the increased need in our community. So that is being worked on and will be brought to you in hopefully the next several meetings. City staff recommends approval. Are there any questions you might have?
Just related to that last point, will the other funds that are charitable funds, Brown, be not the Anderson Fund, because that's, earmarked, but will the other charitable funds also be subject to that?
It's a very
Yeah,
good
they may have
question.
individual processes, but we'll build one for each. I think I mentioned at a prior meeting, I had it in my head, we'd build this before the next budget cycle. I didn't anticipate right after the first of the year. So I think this fund in particular, we may need to identify a particular application deadline so we get them all in and then we can weigh that one against another before we award any.
Yeah, maybe a
Yeah.
time frame.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that idea.
but yeah.
Or you
And so
can-
but the other funds, one of the things we talked about was sort of at the strategic planning was maybe combining them or using it as a nest egg sort of to help start something, but
As well as articulating some criteria that
Yeah.
we're trying to accomplish and that we review them on. So.
Yeah.
Yep. I had someone in mind, but they're now the city administrator of Pleasant Hill.
Oh,
We'll get to
darn
work
it.
on it.
That's right. That's right. That was her task. Okay, thanks, Mike.
She could do it in her spare time.
Right.
Any other comments? We have a resolution.
I move to approve the resolution.
Thank you.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. 9.1, mayoral appointments. Motion to approve mayoral appointments as follows. Appoint Woods Prail as a board member, business representative for the Arts Commission, filling an unexpired term through October 2027.
Motion to approve?
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari, Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Jessica's one more time here. Thank you. Item 10, appearances to the council not listed on the agenda. There are none. Item 11, miscellaneous matters from the mayor and or city council.
I have,
Oh, Jan's got one.
yeah, I have one. When I was trying to find 1035 South McGuire Street the other day, I was looking, of course, at house numbers on the houses, and that obviously they're in numerical order. But when I got to about 900, all of a sudden, house numbers disappeared. There was house number on McGuire Street Terrace on that house there, but there weren't any house numbers after about 900 something on some houses. You couldn't see them from the street. I thought that all houses had to have visible numbers on them from the street. Is that true? I'm looking at our
Fire chief.
sheet,
On the residential side,
residential.
we don't, on fire department side of it, we don't have an arm to enforce what they maintain there. On the commercial side, we do.
On the commercial you do, okay. So then you're just driving in the dark, or you've got GPS and hope it's right?
A couple things. We do have mapping in our trucks, so that helps. And then a lot of it is just memorizing blocks and kind of where you're at.
I think we could do a social media push, just help us help you. While it's not required, it's advisable.
Yeah. 'Cause some of them might have mailboxes out at the street. Because the house is back too far to really see anything. That would be helpful for anybody traveling, but also in particular in emergency situations. Thank you.
Long time ago, there used to be some groups that would go out and paint the curb,
No.
Yes, Boy Scouts.
Scouts
Boy
did that.
Scouts or something, so. Maybe you can do that. Okay, thanks, Chief. Any other matters, city council?
Nope.
Oh, thank you. Community partner updates. Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Johnson County. Third quarter report, we're still doing that?
Yeah.
Okay,
She was providing the report.
Oh,
She
okay.
hadn't planned to
to
present.
be here, okay,
Oh,
so we have that.
That's in your-
Great organization, by the way.
yes, it is.
Item 13, city staff update, city manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I do have a handful of things that might be of interest to you. I'm sure you're aware of it by now, but Phil Edlich is our Public Works Director.
More active now.
I will publicly thank him for his service as interim and his patience. I shared with him that I just historically have chosen to run a process more often than not. It gives credibility to the process. It gives credibility to the candidate that's selected. And so he certainly stood out above the other candidates, and he earned it. So looking forward to working with him in his full-time capacity. Phil and I met with representatives of Schneider Electric recently, and there, you may recall, they were doing they called it an investment grade audit, which is kind of an odd title for it, but they review our facilities and equipment and opportunities for improvements and cost savings. A lot of good information there. They have a little bit more work to do, but in the near future, they'll be reporting that out to you as a group. And, one of the big things that I see value in is they've looked at all of our equipment and identified the useful life, and it'll help us schedule all that. And then they have a number of recommendations and some things they can provide us assistance on. So I think you'll find it of interest, and they should have it for us here pretty soon. The mayor and I attended community project funding workshops put on by Congressman Alford staff in different locations across his district. It was very helpful. It's kind of, for lack of a better term, earmarks are the process by which direct appropriations can be sought by congressmen. And so they explained that process, they explained the timeline. It was a good opportunity to talk to his staff about McGuire Overpass in particular, and learn about the threshold and population in particular is 20,000, 20,000 and below that are eligible. So we are just nominally eligible for that process. But also had a conversation with them about the fact that we were preparing an application for the build grant, which that is underway. Burns Mac's working on that. We've sent out 24 requests for letters of support from various agencies, all the way from Congressman Alford, who has provided that letter already, to our own fire and police departments and WCVB, getting very positive feedback, especially in light of the short timeline. So I feel good that we'll have a representative sample of letters of support, really trying to leverage the fact that the highway is on the strategic highway network, and it's a foot and 1 inch too low by standard. So don't know that directly impacts Whiteman Air Force Base, but it could. You may already be aware that an area representative of MoDOT meets with the county, and I attend that meeting monthly. So kind of have an ongoing rapport with Marcella Ward. And some of the things, so I keep a running list of things to talk to her about. And one of those is a community sign at Business 50, getting positive feedback there about the possibility of putting it in MoDOT right away, provided them the information that they requested, and still waiting for kind of an official response, but all indications are promising. Been working with them on the McGuire design cost share allocation that we have, and the cost allocation, getting their approval so we then can enter into an agreement with Burns and Mac. Been pressing them to clean the ditch along Copper Ridge on DD Highway. That whole conversation about what was contributing to water on the roadway kind of heightened the focus on the condition of that ditch. So I kind of drive by there and keep an eye on it, see if they've cleaned it. There's one particular area, the Spirit Trail, that has some drainage challenges that I shared with her quite some time ago and continue to follow up on. We've had conversations about the possibility of regional detention kind of in the northeast quadrant, and that likely would impact flow under 50 highway. So reached out to MoDOT to find out more about their expectations on anything like that. This one's kind of a small, maybe even a pet peeve, but there is a commuter parking lot that MoDOT maintains on the 13 bypass at Veterans Road, and it needs new surfacing. It's just all greasy.
It comes up about every 4 years.
Does it? Well, I personally had reason to use it and just got stuck in the muck. So I took it upon myself to suggest it needed some treatment. And then you may recall that we put together a design for the Spirit Trail Gap in anticipation of the Transportation Assistance Program funding, which we didn't apply for last year. But I'll be back in terms of the cost of that. That'll take a budget amendment, but trying to track that timeline and that process and be ready for that. I sent you quite a few emails in the last week or so. So you should have seen some historical background information about the community center and how that all transpired in the 1990s. I hope that was helpful to add some context for you. You should have seen a draft homeless services survey, and I'm working on that. Councilwoman Latari suggested that maybe it would be best to distribute it in Google Docs. I have to admit, I started with WordPerfect. If you
Form.
remember what that
Google
was.
Form
Google
specifically.
Form. So
Different.
I'm more of an Outlook person, but we'll see. There is some value in the Google Forms approach. So Jessica's going to try to help me with that. You should have also had an email about the state legislation, a law that was passed, expanding the hours of liquor sales during the FIFA World Cup timeframe. And I started with an understanding, or I thought it was communities needed to opt into that. It turns out the presumption is those hours are expanded and communities need to opt out. So that kind of changes the communication dynamic with our businesses. But my intention is to go ahead and put that on a future agenda for you to consider and get the word out that you will be taking that up. So whether they're liquor license holders that are for it, or whether it's others that have concerns about it, create an opportunity for that conversation, and that'll kind of put you on the hot seat to deliberate about whether you wish to opt out of that or leave it in place.
Have we received feedback from community?
Not a lot. There was just some initial feedback about those expanded hours, and I initially made the commitment that we'll get a survey out and see what liquor license holders want to do. But that was kind of mistakenly on the premise that we would need to opt in. In the opt-out scenario, the message changes a little bit, but we'll get the word out and create an opportunity for them to address you if they had concerns on either side.
24/7, that's a lot.
Yeah, well, I think it's 23 out of 24 hours a day, yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got some time, but wanted to forewarn you that we're going forward with getting the word out and creating some community conversation about that. And then there's also a bill working its way through the legislature, or at least being taken up, to exempt food from sales tax. And so admittedly, there's obviously opinions on both sides of that issue, and some would say that sales tax on food is regressive and punitive. Unless you tell me otherwise, or unless you have concerns, my intention is to share with that committee a written comment, just purely factual, estimating the value of sales tax loss that Warrensburg would experience. And that's a little hard to calculate, but there is some guidance out there about, for say, a Walmart supercenter, what percentage of their sales are food related, and then same way with grocery stores. So between our sales tax generators, I think I could calculate or estimate revenue loss, and then also equate that to if the community wanted the service levels to stay the same, what a mill rate increase would be needed to offset that sales tax loss, and just leave it at that, not lobby either way on beyond providing the factual information.
And are they talking about the state sales tax or just the municipalities?
Well, my understanding is it's state and local. And
State and
so,
local.
yes, in Kansas, while I was there, the state did away with the state sales tax and they left the local sales tax in place. So that was one of the first things I looked at was, is it just state, but it is state and local. And then Wednesday of this week will be my 1 year anniversary with the city of Warrensburg. So that time flew by.
Congratulations.
Lastly, wanted to give you a heads up that I am planning on taking vacation to correspond with spring break week of school. So Friday, March 6th through Sunday, March 15th, Barb's agreed to be the acting city manager while I'm away. There is a city council meeting in there on Monday, March 9th. I'll zoom into that, but we'll try to be strategic and keep that agenda light. But I will be attending virtually. So that's all that I have, unless you have questions for me.
Is somebody going to mention about tomorrow's?
I figured Phil was
You
gonna
will,
do
Phil.
that.
All right.
I keep stealing Phil's report. So.
There you go. And Barbara will do the next one. All right, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. City staff updates, Administrative Services Department. Have we started a process to replace Kristen or?
We're focusing on salary and benefits survey first to
Okay.
try to get that dialed in. And then we have both the HR position and the assistant position. So.
Thanks. The city staff updates, city clerk.
There is a report in your packet. We've set the date for the next shredding day for destruction of records pursuant to our policy. Other than that, I've handed out a physical registration hotel for the MML Legislative Conference that's coming up next week for those who are attending. If you have any questions, let me know. It's also on your Outlook calendar, so. Thank you.
Appreciate you going through all the files for Parks and Recreation too.
Oh, you're welcome.
Quite a
Very
process.
interesting.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
Very
Yeah, it was.
interesting. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. City staff update, community development.
Highlight, and the information's all in the packets and the newspapers, start seeing it in emails, et cetera, but we are having the McGuire Street Corridor Overlay District Meeting on February 19th at the Community Center, rooms A and B. That's from 5:30 to 7:30, and it will be a presentation, so it's not a drop-in, it's not a come and go. You come, watch the presentation, and then we'll do questions and breakout stations afterwards. There will be a handout for people who attend and, so they have something to take with them to think about. Or if they can't stay the whole time, they can take that with them. And then we will post that information on our website when the meeting is over.
Would it be possible for that to be recorded and put on,
YouTube?
yeah, that,
We'll know
like we
that
do our
when it's
meetings,
set up for
or
that.
would you not want to do that?
What was the meeting?
It's our public meeting over at the multi-A and B in the community center.
You would have to get with Parks to see if they can do that.
Well, would we even want to do that? It may not be a good idea, the more I think of it.
I don't know if there's a,
No,
going into it, I don't know. I think if we have the presentation, we're gonna put the slide deck on the website and the handout on the website.
That's
and-
good.
And so I know we've had 3 phone calls as of 3:00 today already on it, so
and
the word is getting out there.
so are the slides already out?
No,
So once the slides are out there, those that can't attend would be able to see that,
Yeah.
and then that should generate some more.
yeah, and
Question.
so after the meeting is over, we'll put that all on the website. And we'll have an online form where they can submit any comments as well. And they can call us, but if they wanna do it online, they can do it online.
That's perfect, thank you.
Would you mind giving like a 1 or 2 minute with the overlay, what that is. We've got some visitors here tonight, so.
Okay. So we're looking at an overlay district for the McGuire corridor. For the part that's recently undergone construction, it would be properties that front on the corridor. And this would be an overlay district is regulations that supplement or modify the underlying zoning district regulations, which in this case is general business. And so they would be additional or modified regulations in the future as properties redevelop that they would have to adhere to redevelop along the corridor, with the idea that we're trying to support a cohesive visual identity, encourage high quality site design, and strengthen the long-term character of the corridor and improve that visitor and resident experience along the property.
Thanks.
Thank you.
City staff updates, fire department.
You changed the format. I like it. Got a whole 3D thing.
City staff updates, parks department, Chris.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. After the City Council meeting on January 12th, staff has been discussing issues presented at that meeting in the Park Board with the Park Board Administrative Committee. And in addition, at the Park Board meeting on January 28th, the open forum part of the meeting, we had 5 speakers. Some spoke in opposition to the entry fee and also some spoke in favor. Staff has reported on the current membership, community center, which is show the last 3 years for January, or a total of those last 3 Januaries were 30 members per month. At the end of this January, we had 382 members. And 4 cancellations only. 50% of those 382 were seniors, plus 50%. Staff also mentioned further benchmarking study that from comments made, we moved to 50 community centers from going out in the Warrensburg area, or Warrensburg proper going out. And of that, still only 3 centers offered free track and gym, and 47 centers charge an entrance fee. As further update, year to date, our membership line item through the month of January, we've collected $85,000 in memberships as compared to last year, $65,000 year to date, $20,000 increase. One of the things our Parks and Recreation Board has said that felt we need to do is to increase our revenue in areas that we can control, and that is one of those areas with membership. Staff also announced the at the Park Board meeting, reactivation of the Parks Foundation for the 21st century, which is going to be led by former Mayor Scott Holmberg. And there was going to be 2 or 3 Park Board members, as well as 3 or 4 community members. And they'll, of course, will be following the bylaws that are listed within that. And so they will serve on this committee. One of the things Scott Holmberg and I have already discussed is the opportunity to use foundation funds for scholarship services for those in need. And this has been done in the past for our programs, but we are looking at the opportunity to expand this to membership scholarships. And this would be income for those that income qualify. But there are a few examples of other centers that do that. And so this is going to be reviewed by the Park Foundation and also by the Park Board. Also, the Park Board Administrative Committee coming up this February is going to the discussion will take place that will include setting up a special committee to look at questions brought up about the entry fee and report back to the Administrative Committee and ultimately the Park Board on those discussions. Some of the questions that were asked by council, Park Board, or citizens will be reviewed by this special committee. And our plan is to move quickly on that process. And one issue that was brought up in regard at the Park Board meeting was a punch pass. not being counted correctly or specifically was specifically mentioned at the park board meeting. In visiting with our front desk administrative staff, this is not a common occurrence. However, front desk administration staff is retraining staff to ensure proper punch pass tracking. There has been an issue with software not being user friendly, and this has to do with the date of the software. So I will tell you that staff has budgeted the process of starting for new software. One half of it is going to be done this year and moving into the summer and fall, and then we'll complete the rest of it with the October budget. And I will say that review of the new software is something that the special committee also can be engaged in. But the lead person that's going to be working on this is our new assistant director, Tony Albertina. He has years of experience with the software, and he's already started gathering information on this. As a matter of fact, we have some demos set for this next week. So also, as mentioned before, currently the entry fee policy already provides 50% off of the monthly memberships for those youth who are on the school lunch program. Also, Silver Sneakers and Renew Active for seniors has seen an increase for those making applications for the programs, and which pays for monthly through annual membership. But as stated, we're going to even look at more opportunities. I did want to specifically acknowledge Councilmember Latari's questions raised to prior council meeting that staff identified as homework to follow up on. Number of these questions related to the specific impacts on populations that use the community center for free. I will say that we don't itemize costs to that level in our operations. We haven't tracked, and we don't usually have a current method to break out costs for specific things, whether it be elevator or electricity use, equipment usage, that those are really looking at indirect costs. I will tell you that we certainly have line item budget for every single revenue that we follow, and also all of our expenses that we follow. But I did go back and look at the presentation made at the joint meeting of the park board and the city council on July 14th. There wasn't anything specific on a slide about the fees, but under the slide of operations and finance, staff made a point that the Parks Department would, and this is in quote, maximize the financial sustainability of Warrensburg Parks and Recreation through sound financial planning process. And with the minimum wage increase, you look at the starting of the community center, $5.15 an hour to $15 an hour now. And also our debt service increasing every year, and by 2033 going up to over $430,000. That increase, as well as the school lunch, the school summer program. Those are all something that we looked at as needing to increase in revenue where we could for our own budget stability, which would be done through fees. And this is the goal of the park board. And I specifically also stated on September at the city council meeting on presentation. These are also an exact quote. Under processed fees, an entrance fee will be charged to all who enter the community center, but there will be no increase in the amount of the daily entrance fee, which is $5 for youth and $7 for adults. And we will not increase the fee of the monthly and the annual pass. In addition, youth who are on the reduced free lunch program, there's 50% off for the monthly and annual pass. The presentation also mentioned the 11 centers that we used at that time, but once again, we expand that now to over 50 centers. So very positively, I feel all of these items are going to be reviewed by the special committee and then brought back before the park board, ultimately city council report only. So there's more news to come on that. I think some of the highlights right there are our Park Foundation, we're excited about expanding and looking at scholarship opportunities for membership, as well as the special committee taking further review on those things. So on to just another subject, front desk project is coming along nicely, and the anticipated finish date is still the first part of April. And I have a very positive report on our annual deer hunt, which this year doubled the number of deer harvested, total of 35.
Wow.
I will say that the last couple of years it was 17, and as I reported at the park board meeting, I would like to thank Councilmember Jan Jones for her suggestion of a policy that each hunter must report their hunting outcomes at the end of the year, whether they harvested a deer or not. As I also said at the meeting, it's funny how that works. They want to return, and so they reported, and we had a really nice number to give to the Conservation Department. In closing, our park board meeting is going to be on Wednesday. Moved it up in February because some of our staff will be attending state conference in Columbia, which is one of them. And I will answer any questions that you may have at this time.
I have one question. I don't know if the administrative committee that's looking at the fees is thinking about a maximum family fee. If you have a very large family, maybe I think a standard family or the average family is 2.1 children. I don't know how you get 0.1, but anyways, 2.1 children. If you have a family of maybe 6 children, that could get pretty expensive. Maybe if there was a maximum family fee. I don't know what that would be, but I would like the administrative committee to kind of look at that and think if that's a possibility.
I will certainly mention that, and I don't see there's a reason why we can't, but I will just only give you a little bit of background on this. And this has kind of evolved over the last, I would say, 10 years that I've been in the industry. You'll have an example such as what we do here and what many other community centers have done. Lee Summit, many others, they have said for an adult, it's $300. And that's what it is, and for an annual pass, $25 a month. And it goes through that for whether the family unit or not. Why? Because some family members will come in and say they are all living under the same roof, regardless of what the family is. And so you therefore get some of that is a little bit of a challenge. So, but it is something that we can certainly look at and review. I will tell you that a lot of the community centers have just gone to the individual instead of membership, but there still are family memberships out there.
Okay.
So that's certainly something that we can look at, and that won't be a problem. I will mention that to the administrative committee, who's meeting tomorrow night. So,
Yes, they are. Thank you.
anything else?
Anything else?
Thank you,
Nope.
Director. Really
Thanks,
appreciate
Chris.
all that information and your effort and, taking everyone's concerns seriously. I
Well, thank
Much
you.
appreciated.
And I'd like to give a special thank you to our city manager for putting together that information. Although I didn't like it at first, it had a bit of work, and he's listened to me, but I thought it was really very quality in showing a timeline and showing
Yeah.
the actual statistic from that, and providing an opportunity for us to have a little bit more information to provide to the public. So,
Thank you very much.
all right, thank you.
Thank you. City staff update. Chief Munsterman. Police Department.
Evening, Mayor, Council. Just have a few things here. Everybody's been involved with the Axon. All that equipment started coming in. We had 2 days of training regarding that equipment last week. Starting to look at implementing it. It'll probably be rolling out. Some of it will be rolling out in around March. We're full steam ahead on vehicle decommissions. We've done 2 vehicles that have been causing some problems. Went ahead and got all the equipment out of them, getting them to Enterprise. They're gonna be looking at selling them for us. But we're moving forward with vehicles that, we're able to, do that with. That way we're not doing it all at once. Last Friday, we've been busy through the police department. Last Friday, we had approximately 50 calls on day shift. That averages 12 and a half calls an officer. That's a busy day, and that's not even including the night shift wise. Met with Phil and the contractors for the solar panels today. And we got a plan together on how they're gonna come into the police department building with the conduit and the wire to get into our electrical panels. That work should be starting fairly soon. We might have more on that. We've had 6 applicants, they applied, none of them made it through our first interview process. And then Dale Bernard is leaving us in March. He's moving back to Alaska. His, wife works at, out on base, and they moved out here to be closer to her family. Some things didn't work like they thought, and they miss Alaska. They were from Alaska. So that's all I have. Stand for any questions. You have
Any questions? No?
What,
Thanks.
what are your feelings on the 24/7 or 23/7 alcohol?
Me and the city manager have had that discussion, and we'll continue having that discussion when we're ready to move forward with it. So, all right.
Thank you. Thank you. City staff update, Public Works Department. Bill.
Evening, Mayor, City Council members. As things have been mentioned, Safe Streets for All, we do have a come and go meeting tomorrow, 5 to 7 at the library. So hopefully everybody can make it. Safe Streets for All was just hopefully figuring out what the citizens want us to really focus on, and we can get our projects lined and done. We did meet with the solar company. I don't have exact date of when they are going to start, but it's going to be, end of April is when Schneider has to have the project pretty much done. So they are moving ahead, full steam, and we'll start to see some construction stuff going on soon. Enterprise Fleet Management, as Andy mentioned, we actually have 2 vehicles out that are with Enterprise, and they're going to be sold at auction probably this week. I think Wednesday is when they said. There are 7 of the vehicles in production out of the ones that we have ordered. So we get updates on that, and once they get through production, then they will be sent to the outfitters to get upfitted, and then we'll get those. So don't have an exact date on when they are going to be here. Most of them are the police vehicles, so they're going to be the ones that get the first wave of vehicles coming in. It's moving forward again at a good pace. Some of the other projects that we're working on, emerging contaminants for McGuire. We did get all the letters back from all the state required contacts. Conservation Department, tribal, all those things. We got all those back, so now we're moving on to the next step. We're working with state to get that going. The walkway decks, they are done at Lions Lake. I don't know if you all have had a chance to get out there and see those, walk on those. They did get completed Friday, I believe it was. Or
I was on them yesterday. I didn't walk on them today, but I was on them yesterday.
so they're complete and hopefully satisfactory. There's still some other work that has to be done, the bridge, asphalt and stuff, but it's moving along well. The wastewater treatment plant expansion is going well. With the warmer weather, more stuff's happening, so it's looking good. We have pavement condition index is going to be opened up. The bid opening is the 12th, so we'll hopefully have something in front of the council to approve in a couple weeks for that project. The fire department and police department, we're putting together a packet to send out for a request for proposal for concrete work. So we'll have that. And then our normal ADA curb and gutter and sidewalk projects that are all being worked on. So there's lots of stuff going on. We'll keep going.
Just curious, what manufacturer does Enterprise use? What?
Enterprise will use any any Ford,
We don't,
Chevy,
okay.
Ram.
Part of their program is just maximizing resale value, so it can change from year to year. Now, police vehicles, number one, we don't flip them as often, and they kind of have specialized vehicles. But beyond that, the part of Enterprise's expertise is helping us not only pick the make and model, but the features so that it has maximum resale value.
Any other questions for Phil?
Nope.
Oh, thanks,
Thank you,
Phil.
Director.
And congratulations again. City staff updates, Warrensburg Convention Visitors Bureau. Barbara, don't go, real quick. Could you, if I can catch you real quick, can you mention about lifelong learning this week, real quick?
That's right.
Oh, yes,
Nothing additional, nothing additional.
Okay, oh,
sorry. But I thought you mentioned lifelong learning real quick. If you don't mind. Chris is the shy one, I know, right? We know that. Yeah.
So yes, the lifelong learning program will be offering a presentation on Morse Collins, our father, that we will be presenting to everyone on the 19th. I believe at 6 p.m. I was gonna text you. So at the right time. So we welcome you all to come and join us on that. We are looking to possibly offer digital options, because I know that there are some who are unable to attend in person. So we hope to have a digital option there. Yeah. So thank you.
And on the church, Jesus Saves Pentecostal, you're doing Black History at,
Yes, and we have some flyers.
okay.
For that tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. That's on the 22nd at 3:30 p.m. And
I got it on my calendar already.
Okay.
I'm good. I will
Yeah.
Sharon, did you-
Is that for me?
Yeah.
Okay.
he will be our speaker that day. He grew up in north of town in Mount Hall area. He's gonna come and talk about some history in the local area and growing up north of town in that community. Great. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Good.
I would love.
And the Warrensburg Convention Visitors Bureau, Marcy.
She said, no, she had nothing else.
Okay. Well, with that, we're adjourned.
Don't